The title is not clickbait. It appears that we are going to be getting some new reveals later this year in the month of October, near the end of October, around the time of New York Comic Con, because they are going to be having a Dragon Ball special booth. Now that's very similar to what we had at San Diego Comic Con this year, and they didn't reveal any new trailers. They did reveal some new merchandise that we're going to be going over, but I mentioned this because they revealed a trailer before San Diego Comic Con, so could they be revealing another trailer around that time period? We know DAIMA's coming out in October. We don't know what date exactly in October, so let's just hold on to hope that we're probably going to be getting a final trailer. Then Dragon Ball DAIMA will have some new merchandise at New York Comic Con with some new reveals, like some new characters, things like that, and then maybe the show will be releasing afterward. So they could do a trailer like in 2 weeks, something like that. So that's what I'm holding out hope for there. And also in this video, we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Super, the hiatus, and we're going to go deeper into that big bombshell news that came out not too long ago, and hopefully I'll be able to divulge some new information between the lines and see if there's a rough timeline of how this is going to pan out. So first off, I want to go over all of the reveals, and there were some big reveals. So for example, SH Figure Arts put out these 3 new figure reveals. That's Goku Mini, Vegeta Mini, and Piccolo Mini. Specifically, they're called Mini instead of child or young or kid, and I thought that was very interesting. Now, they've never been officially labeled as transforming back into children. It appears that they're children. I would gamble that they're children, but then you also had other characters like Boo, who was reverted into a kid version of himself, and he was still called Fat Boo, and he didn't resemble Kid Boo, which was very interesting, and a lot of people were pointing that out, that characters like Android 18 or even Bulma, for example, doesn't look very much like a kid. She still has a proportions relative to adult Bulma versus Kid Bulma that we see in the Jocko Galactic Patrol manga. Again, that could just be a stylistic thing or a design thing, but I actually had this theory that maybe they're called Mini because they're actually mini versions of themselves. So maybe some sort of curse is put on them to make them smaller instead of making them children. But again, I could understand if they're just children straight up, so we'll just have to wait and see on that. Another reveal was the new Dragon Ball card game Fusion World decks. So they actually have some decks with Kid Goku and Kid Vegeta. Also in the news are these keychains, which is pretty interesting. You get a good look at Glorio there. So once again, they're really establishing that Glorio is going to be one of the lead characters. And again, this goes to how important are Piccolo and Vegeta actually going to be in this series, because a lot of the merchandise focuses on them. Now, are they pushing them as iconic characters that they know they'll be able to get a quick buck out of you for? Or could this maybe lend a portion of their audience a idea that, hey, maybe they're more important than we're thinking? Who knows? Because we know Glorio is going to be one of the title characters, and Goku is for sure, and we know Vegeta and Piccolo are at least going to appear in the first episode, but could this be hinting at a more important role in the series? And we have some cool Ichiban Kuji statues. I call them statues. They're figurines, figures, whatever you want to say. So we got some cool looks at Mini Goku, Mini Supreme Kai, Mini Vegeta, and Mini Piccolo. I'm really digging the Mini Supreme Kai design. I'm really glad that they're giving Supreme Kai stuff to do this time around. And then we have some other ones of, the taller versions, the taller characters. So Glorio does appear to be taller than Mini Goku and Mini Supreme Kai. And we also got Goku and Vegeta. We went over these a while back. This is very interesting stuff here. I really like how Goku looks in this one. And we actually had these Crane Game figurines. Now, this is some stuff that they do in Japan, I believe, but you'll still be able to get them in America if you just order it online and things like that. And some Dragon Stars figures. So these are actually the cheaper American-made. I'm not sure if they're actually specifically American-made. They could be in Canada or something, but I know Dragon Stars is definitely a more American thing that they have, a lot cheaper, a lot more cheaply made, if I may add myself. As you can see here, it's not actually the best quality, but it is what it is. So yeah, just some stickers and things like that. So that's mainly all the Dragon Ball DAIMA reveals that we got from SDCC. Again, nothing too major, but enough to really just scratch your itch for Dragon Ball DAIMA stuff. So at least it's something. Previously, we went over some of this information in this article, but today I wanted to go over the whole thing translated by Super Chronicles and really get down to the nitty-gritty of things with regards to Dragon Ball Super. So let's just go ahead and start right here. In March, the original author Akira Toriyama passed away, much to the regret of many. However, the momentum of Dragon Ball shows no signs of slowing down. Okay, so it just talks about that. Let's fight to see who's the strongest. Yeah, so they're just saying it's simple for people who really don't want to have a complicated story. Last year, there was an incident that caused an uproar in the business over this work. In May 2023, Akio Ioku, former head of Shueisha's Dragon Ball Room, went independent with several subordinates and established a new company, Capsule Corporation Tokyo, named after a financial company that appears in the series, with the aim of managing critical activities and handling intellectual property rights. Mr. Ioku became the head of the Dragon Ball Room in 2016 after serving as editor-in-chief of V-Jump. A Shueisha insider recalls, without consulting his superiors, Mr. Ioku unilaterally decided to make a film adaptation of Toriyama Sensei's Sandland. He always focuses on serving the author for better or worse. That's very important that they specifically said he serves the author for better or worse. I mean, that really shows us that Ioku, is he more like inclined to serve Akira Toriyama's vision? We'll talk about that more in a minute. Goes on to say, at the same time, there was criticism from anime production companies and TV networks that he had a condescending attitude. In addition to these evaluations, progress was lacking in collaborations with the metaverse and AI that the higher-ups were anticipating. I'm not too big of a fan of AI, so I don't blame Ioku for not really pushing AI and focusing on that. He's probably just focusing on telling good stories. As a result, in 2022, he was reassigned to a new business department. And if you're working as a creative person and then you get reassigned to a business department, that would suck. This unwelcome transfer became the trigger, and within a year, Ioku went independent. Taking over the role of Toriyama's spokesperson on behalf of Shueisha, Ioku's actions raised the risk of Shueisha losing its Dragon Ball rights. That's completely unheard of, right? Well, let's continue. Toriyama Sensei was also dissatisfied with Ioku being removed as he trusted him the most. Chairman Maru Horiuchi, again, I'll probably mispronounce these names, of Shueisha, Ioku's actions, no wait, hang on, I lost my track there, let's see where even went directly to Toriyama's residence in Aichi Prefecture, but he couldn't persuade him to stay, said the aforementioned Shueisha insider. This put Bandai Namco, which had been making a fortune with games like Dokkan Battle, in a difficult position. Ioku, who was Toriyama Sensei's spokesperson, became independent, but the rights to the manga were managed by Shueisha. It was unclear who to consult regarding matters related to the original work. So what they're basically saying is they wanted to be respectful of Toriyama, his vision with Dragon Ball. He was the creator after all, and Shueisha were the ones who basically had the rights because they originated Dragon Ball. But if Ioku's the spokesperson for Toriyama, then what's going on with people like who developed Dokkan Battle? Do they go to Ioku, who was previously the head of the Dragon Ball Room but left to be Toriyama's spokesperson and do things with Capsule Corp? So I understand how that could be confusing. Meetings about Dragon Ball were organized very vaguely, with all relevant parties being invited, which subtly included both Ioku and Shueisha representatives, making the coordination extremely stressful, said the aforementioned Bandai Namco insider. Toriyama's passing occurred amidst this battle over rights. The discussions continued without the original author, and the disputes have been ongoing and still remain unresolved, noted a Shueisha employee. Some industry executives are looking towards a resolution that involves the family, saying it depends on how the family feels about it. The question remains who will ultimately take the lead in managing this massive IP. The future of the bogged-down battle, which is not befitting of a shonen manga, remains unclear. So really, it should be simple enough to break down what's going on here is a rights battle behind the scenes, and the Dragon Ball Super delay may last longer than we think. If Ioku wins, we could be getting the next 10 years of Dragon Ball content like he talked about. We'll be getting movies, anime, more than just DAIMA probably. Ioku was really heavy on pushing Dragon Ball as a brand and was really involved with getting Toriyama in the process. Of course, with Toriyama gone, it makes things difficult because whose vision is Ioku serving? Himself, or is he going to get the family more involved? Who knows on that front? And if Shueisha wins, we're going to be getting the Dragon Ball Super manga, and that's probably it. We know they weren't really interested in making the Dragon Ball Super anime, and that's why Ioku had that interview where he specifically said that just because the manga isn't getting adapted into an anime doesn't mean there has to be no anime at all, and he decided to make the Dragon Ball DAIMA anime, which I at least respect him for that. So I'm of two minds on this. If Shueisha wins, we'll get Toyotaro and Dragon Ball Super manga, but at what cost? I mean, I do respect that Ioku has a clear vision of Dragon Ball and the future. I definitely think that he's probably the best bet. But again, All it would take is Shueisha to say, okay, we got a couple arcs down, now let's go ahead and get deep into Dragon Ball once more with the anime returning. So it's really a tough call on who to side with on this one. Ioku did do a kind of a, I don't want to say a scumbag move, but it was definitely interesting that he decided to be a maverick and go independent and was still a spokesperson for Toriyama. And knowing that Toriyama was dissatisfied with the decision for them to move Ioku from the creative department to the business department, that kind of tells me that maybe we should respect Ioku a little bit more. After all, he was the one pushing for Dragon Ball Super Superhero to get Gohan involved more, to bring Broly back, things like that. So I definitely do think he deserves more credit. With that being said, I understand how this is a difficult situation for all parties involved, and we'll just have to wait and see. So as far as we know now, the Dragon Ball Super manga hiatus is going to last for probably many more months until this thing gets resolved behind the scenes, and as well as the Dragon Ball Daima anime is going to release in October for sure. So if we don't have the Dragon Ball Super anime coming back anytime soon, of course, because why would they bring the Dragon Ball Super anime back unless they get the Dragon Ball Super manga out there, then it looks like we're going to be in a tough situation. I'm thinking, like I said, the Dragon Ball Super manga will be delayed for a while, maybe months, and I think the family will probably need to get involved to settle this. And ideal situation, let Ioku handle his own Dragon Ball Daima brand, let Shueisha do Dragon Ball Super, and we'll go from there. Also, there was an interview a while back where Ioku basically said that think of Dragon Ball Daima as a new Dragon Ball vision, and he was really emphasizing that this isn't like any Dragon Ball you've seen before. I'm thinking maybe he doesn't have the rights to Dragon Ball Super, so maybe Dragon Ball Daima is like in an alternate timeline basically. It's set after DBZ, but not really focusing on the Dragon Ball Super events, and maybe it's doing its own vision of things. Who knows? Again, that's just pure speculation on my part, but I mean, it kind of makes sense. It kind of doesn't though, because you had Kibito Kai in Dragon Ball Z, and in Dragon Ball Daima it's Supreme Kai and Kibito separated, so maybe it is canon and they just didn't want to use it, or who knows, you know, that's just pure conjecture on my part. Anyways guys, that will be it for this video. I just wanted to go over some speculation regarding the Dragon Ball Super manga hiatus, and it was a bit of an update because we basically know that the hiatus will last a bit longer than we thought. And we also had some Dragon Ball Daima reveals from San Diego Comic-Con that I wanted to go over. And be looking forward to the Dragon Ball Daima New York Comic-Con booth, because we'll probably get another trailer in October, which would make sense. I mean, it's coming out in October, so we'll probably get a last trailer before the show comes out. Anyways guys, that will be it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you have something to say, comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Dragon Ball news and commentary. And I will see you in the next one. Peace off.